Why would you like to be the next Activities and Events Officer at UCLU?
Okay, so I've been at UCL for 4 years. It's my fourth year in chemical engineering. I'm a master's student, and I'm part of many societies. And one thing I really enjoyed doing was charity work. And I was a charity work leader in 2012, and I thought I could this year's charity week as well. And when you look at the clubs and societies, I was part of the union 2 years ago as well. When you look at the clubs and societies in UCL, you get to see, different types and different how versatile it really is. And I want to be part of the union and help give back to these societies and bring a new perspective and a new dimension into the union. And so I'm manifesting a few points as to what I want to do. And the one thing I really want to do is, remove paperwork. So as my time as charity leader, the one thing that I used to face was that if I want to move with this urgently, there's always a problem, there's always a competition between not just company societies, but even teaching the academic studies, so professors and lecturers. So as an activities and events officer, what I want to do is mainly to give back to the students I've been working alongside for the past few years, and also bring a new dimension to the union.
What sort of skills do you think that you would bring to the role?
So to the activities and events officer, I feel like I'm a person who can communicate well with different types of people. So UCL has not just clubs, sports and arts, there's general society as well, which sometimes, in my opinion, get overlooked. And because there's so many different types, you have the Thai society, you have the Malaysian society, and then you go to ACS, and so many different people, I feel like I can communicate well with them. I can speak to them, I can understand the problems and the grievances, and I can address them in an effective manner.
Okay, so you've talked about your experience with general interest societies a bit there. Can you tell us a bit about your experience with arts and sports, or if you don't have experience with arts and sports, how do you think you would translate your experience with general interest to them?
So from what I know about the sports society and arts societies, they're quite big in UCL, and they represent themselves pretty well compared to other universities within the UK. And UCL Union is definitely one of the bigger unions compared to other universities within London and outside London as well. And the arts and sports societies within UCL, for example, the football society is one of the best in UCL, in London. And what we need to understand is what their problems are. So as my role as an activities and events officer, one of the things I want to do is look at the funding for the transport. For example, when I was activities officer, one of the aspects we looked at was the way fixtures for many sports societies. And for the art societies, one of the problems that they're facing, which I'm sure you're going to detail about later in the interview, is the garage data that's been closed down. So these aspects, and there's always something going on with every society and every type of society. I want to address that current issue.
You talk about increasing funding to societies, which, obviously I'm not well versed in the world of societies, you probably are, but I know that in art societies, which we're a part of obviously, there's a lot of problems with funding certain things and the way in which it gets funded. How would you aim to increase funding for societies? Where do you think ideally the money would come from?
Okay, so currently the union sits on a large reserve, and very little of it actually is being spent on these clubs and societies. Now, I don't know the exact figures, but what I do know is that we can definitely, if I was the activities and events officer, I would definitely campaign and acquire more funds for every society. And mainly the one thing I would also want to look at is many societies get overlooked in terms of funding. So, for example, the MSF, the Doctors Without Borders, because their membership is quite small, and even the Somali Society, the membership is quite small, even though the work they do is quite significant. For example, 2 years ago, the Somali Society took a few students back to Somalia, and this wasn't just UCL, they got students from King's College and other universities as well. But the president of Somali Society, UCLU, he initiated this event, and he took students back to Somalia, where there's economists, medical students, and they worked alongside the Somali government, and they helped to redevelop Somalia and the infrastructure. Now, I think this needs to be addressed, and if they're doing such massive changes where they're representing UCL on an international level, then they should be funded for these kind of events. And in terms of the arts and the sports societies, if I feel like certain sports societies are not being funded because they're not that popular, not that big, we obviously have to look at, we have to discuss this, and we have to look at, say, previous year's funding for their funding, how productive they are, and how much they really need it. So a bit more transparent as to in terms of how it's been in previous years. So Abdullah and Amy Evans, they've been working quite a bit on making funding transparent, and I would want to continue that process that they've worked on right now and take it forward.
Cool. And then on your manifesto, you have a few points which are kind of to do with administrative stuff, like making things more efficient and I guess more transparent as well. Why do you think that's a big issue for society?
So one of the things that I have on my manifesto is the fast speaker. Now, if there was to say for example, there's a natural disaster in some part of the world and a society doesn't want to speak it down. And because currently the speaker approvals take up to 2 weeks, now that's not enough time. That's too much time for a society who wants to bring a speaker, have an impact, and create a buzz where UCL can help out such causes. What I would want to change, and I will try and implement, is the fact that we have an emergency speaker approval. So not every person can actually apply for this, but if there's an emergency speaker approval, we look at those cases separately and in a more significant manner where we can address those issues and get the speaker approvals faster. This is just one of the parts of my manifesto that I proposed.
You also talk about bookable space for UCLU societies. How would you aim to solve the problems that we've had this year with room bookings?
So UCL is in collaboration with many institutions such as Birkbeck, and as I mentioned earlier, the clubs and societies are always competing with teachers and professors and lecturers to book the space. Now, UCL is merging with the Institute of Education, which is on Bedford Way, later this year, and I will definitely acquire that space and find a way where we can ease up the burden on the current UCL campus, and I will definitely move it to the Institute of Education. So we will open up more spaces for UCLU societies to book their clubs and societies and events on that campus.
With regards to opening up more space, would you be aiming to find an alternative venue to the Garage Theatre now that UCL Estates have decided to close that down?
Look, I will definitely campaign, and if it's too late to save it, I promise this, that I will definitely be campaigning and finding an alternative place, because this is really detrimental. The Garage Theatre is really big for the arts and drama societies, and the fact that they're losing it is going to have a knock-on effect on the future years. So because they won't be able to rehearse, they won't be able to showcase their performances, this will have a knock-on effect on the membership, so how many students will actually want to take part in this. So this is something that needs to be addressed, and this is a promise that I make, that I will definitely be campaigning for the Irish Theatre, and if I can't save it, I'll look for an alternative venue.
In terms of campaigns more generally, at the moment there are campaigns like Pride in UCL Sport, as well as stage crew campaigning for a new student theatre. How do you think, as Activities and Events Officer, you'll be able to support campaigns?
So the campaigns that I feel like we can make something substantial out of it, I'll be putting all my effort in. I'm not saying that I'll neglect or not look at the ones that are overshadowed by other campaigns, because these are just two that you've named.
Yeah.
There's others that are going on
They're
as
just
well.
the current ones.
Exactly. So if there's campaigns that I feel like can make a change, we'll look at them and I'll put my effort in. So if there's publicity that they need, funding that they need, I'll speak to the union and we'll try and get something done for these campaigns.
Obviously the union's there to serve all students, but sometimes that doesn't happen for whatever reason. So how would you go about improving that?
So as I mentioned earlier, it's basically at the moment, if it's a big society, a popular society, they get, as long as they get first preference. But how we want to do it is look at how productive societies are, not just on the merit of membership. So a certain society might have the most members, but that doesn't mean they're the most productive. So we want to look at the societies who actually want to make a change and who actually require the funding, and have a more transparent way of funding these societies, rather than just having one-to-one meetings and doing general opinions. We'd rather look at the last year's funding for them, this year's funding for them, and come up with a conclusion that's more about, well, it looks at the bigger picture.